Hi and welcome to This Someone Can. I am your host, Janice Sutherland, Women's Leadership Development Expert, and it's my mission to educate and equip ambitious women to excel in their careers, become more impactful leaders, and create wins in their life. So we kicked off our focus on young women in leadership with an absolutely fabulous interview with Jamaican philanthropist, social media communication specialist, Dr. Rachel Brown. Not only that, she's also the executive director of the Every Mickle Foundation and herself a young woman in leadership. And if, like her, you're young, ambitious, and have your eyes on the prize of advanced leadership role, this is for you. And if you're doing that, you may also be feeling stuck or overwhelmed. And I'm here to tell you you're not alone. Research on the lack of women in leadership roles is really well documented. And in it, we can see the outlines of the structural barriers and the gender bias that continues to impact and affect women in the workplace. But what has been less examined is how these barriers are compounded for younger millennial women who are interested in ascending to more senior leadership roles or just into leadership in general. Young female leaders have to constantly manage conflicting perceptions about their identity. They're burdened with the task of being hardworking and successful employees, and on the other hand, also managing the image that women should be, don't want to say this, but women should be compliant and passive and dealing with the pressure to prove their skills, experience, and authority as young women in leadership. So today I'm going to outline 4 challenges and systemic barriers that young women often face in leadership and may be experiencing now. So let's start with challenge number 1, the likability factor. Women have to navigate that really fine line of being an authentic and fierce leader, as well as being liked. But both likability and success on the job can be pretty hard to achieve. Women are expected to be welcoming, caring, and modest. And when we encounter women who are direct and authoritative, it's in direct contradiction to what society believes women should be or what women should be about. And when people violate societal expectations of behaviour, there is often a very negative reaction. If you're assertive and direct as a young leader, it could even be more of a challenge to get buy-in from those people around you. And you may even have older colleagues who are challenging your authority and position. Challenge number 2. The bar is usually set very high for a young woman. And if you find yourself juggling multiple responsibilities and projects, and if your workload feels incomparable to the other male and older women colleagues in your office, you may be what part of that process as well. When asked to help with something around the office, women find it more difficult than men to say no. And while women may acknowledge that the extra work is impacting their sense of work-life balance when it exists, it's also impacting how their boss, their supervisor, or colleagues feel about them. Now, I've talked to many young women in a complete range of industries who say that this need to take on more work is even magnified for them. And as a generation, they are managing people's expectations of their work ethics, and oftentimes their perceptions are not very positive. You tend to believe that if you don't take on more work, and I'm talking about young women that is, people will infer that you're lazy and not committed. Young women are also delaying marriage and childbirth, and with that comes a lot of assumptions about the availability and free time that single people and non-parents have. Because if people constantly believe you have so much free time, you'll feel pressure to take on additional responsibilities. Challenge number 3. This is a great one, the experience conundrum. For many millennial women leaders, this is a very complicated problem. Right now, the workforce is highly competitive. And while young women or millennials tend to have high levels of education, they also tend to have a low level of relevant work experience. If you've spent most of your time and effort going to school and earning credentials, it leaves very little time to get that really necessary experience for a job after graduation. And I understand, yes, you may have landed an internship or worked part-time to support your study, but this may be viewed very differently than full-time work by many employers. And for many young women, it can be very defeating, very demoralizing to earn all those credentials, but to find themselves in an entry-level position with a less than stellar salary. And some bosses may also view millennials as needing more training or give them less competitive or promotable projects simply because of their age, and therefore creating an environment where you're doing more of the menial tasks. Even worse, you may be given the office housework. Now, this situation is compounded further when you take into account that whilst white women face challenges to advancement in every industry, the statistics for women of colour, for black women, are far worse. We face a double jeopardy where we experience bias related to both our gender and our race. And I hear you. It can be hard to stay in a position where you feel like you're selling yourself short and not gain the experience you need to advance to the roles you want to aspire to. Challenge number 4, managing those microaggressions. Has anyone or someone ever told you that she is old enough to be your mother, or I have children older than you? Maybe someone's attempt to challenge your music or movie intelligence because when they talk about it, that was way before your time. If you're a millennial woman, I am more than certain you've heard these comments before and probably a lot more. Right now, employers really need to step up their game. The workforce is changing and we're seeing instances where organisations have up to 5 generations at work, a scenario never heard of before. For organisations, it's time to address the barriers that make it challenging for young female leaders to either advance or stay at a given organisation. No matter where we work or how old we are, we need strong leaders in our workplaces, regardless of their age. So let me help you further. If you're an aspiring leader or an existing leader, then I have some absolutely fabulous news for you. During April, I am hosting LeadHERship Matters, a month of inspiring and free leadership resources for women who are ready to make an impact in the rooms where decisions are made, women just like you. From leadership masterclasses, career advice, challenges, panel discussions, and a lot more, you are invited to join. Just head over to janicesutherland.com to subscribe and make sure you're the first to hear what's happening and secure your spot. Because my focus is helping women like you aspire to the leadership roles they were born to attain. And just remember, if I can, you can, this woman can. Take care until next time.